Always got to get the tweets out first.
Yeah.
But we are live. It's first live stream in a while. I feel like I don't know how long it's been since I haven't checked the stats since the last time I did one of these. But we are back with another stream. Of course, with Chow on the stream. I don't even know how long it's been since you've been on the stream before.
I think the last time was the NG files things.
Oh yeah. That was lots of fun before it hit the fan. So I think this
Yep.
one will be
Yeah.
a little less
Controversial.
controversial. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this one we're talking all about a few things. We're talking about Angular documentation, more specifically Angular 3 documentation. We're talking about Astro and Starlight. Hey, what's up, young Nicholas? Thanks for coming through. So yeah, we'll get right into it. I did. We were chatting before we started the stream. Fuzzy, what's up? Appreciate you. We were chatting before the stream, and I heard that Chow only uses one monitor. Like, what's going on here? Is this new? Or are you becoming a minimalist? What's going on
No,
here?
I've been using one monitor for the past 4 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Any particular reason why?
Yes, my neck hurts. With I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But yeah, but for real though, I feel like my productivity kind of
Hmm.
disperses if I have multiple monitors.
Okay, so is it like one large monitor or just like a regular
One
size?
one 2K monitors. I used to have like a curve, ultra wide, you name it. I tried pretty much everything.
Fuzzy said my laptop only comes with a monitor. That is correct. That is true. Uh,
So yeah,
uh,
I have one monitor and all of my apps full screen.
it seems like you got some good company. You got some good company there with the single monitor crew. So
Yes,
you're not alone there. Cool.
it is the way.
I only use one monitor when I have my laptop off of my desk. So I guess I use it sometimes, but maybe only if I have to. But we're not here to talk about monitors. Well, we got more people. Team monitor all day. We
Yeah,
got
that's
Kevin
Kevin.
in the
Let's
Kevin in the
go.
chat. Okay, we got the single monitor crew coming up here apparently.
Mhm.
But we'll save the monitor discussions for another day. Uh, so so
I
people
would I
can
would I
come.
would go even further before we end the conversation.
Okay.
One single monitor and single desktop. I don't do multiple desktops. You know how Mac you can have
Yeah.
like multiple desktops, right? The animation to going from desktop one to desktop two kills me.
Mm.
I'd rather do command tab all day.
Okay. So you're like single all the things, single
Single
monitor,
all
single
yeah
desktop, just
yes.
switching back and forth like an animal. I see. Uh, cool. I like it though. I think it's a if you can get the workflow done, I think it can work. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I mentioned, we got Chow here talk about documentation. I think we got the Chow. Go ahead and give us an intro, since we got the like the preliminaries out of the way there.
What intro to
Intro for
what
you, like what do
to
you
me?
do?
Oh,
Where do
oh okay okay
you?
okay okay.
We'll get into what's Angular 3 and all that, but tell
Yeah.
the people who you are for those who may not know.
Hello word. My name is Chow. I'm a senior engineer at NX, and I'm an Angular GDE. That's my certification, right?
Hey, nice. I don't even have one of those. I
You
must have
don't,
missed the
bruh.
I must have missed the thing where you have to. It probably was something that you had to submit to get them to send it to you,
Oh
and I
yes,
like didn't do it, so it's probably my fault. But that's fine.
yeah,
Cool. But once again, thanks for coming on as usual. But today we're here to talk about Angular 3. More specifically, you got some big things coming up for Angular 3. Then we can kind of get into the documentation. So we'll just do a quick recap. Tell the people what Angular 3 is and what's coming soon, I guess. And then we can talk about the docs.
sure. Actually, let's just share the screen.
Yeah,
Uh, we go straight into it.
that works. And now you got to get your your single
Yes.
monitor
Now I
switched over
cannot
to the
see.
right thing. So
Now I cannot see chat anymore. Okay. I don't see me anymore. So if I make weird faces, well, it is what it is.
we'll make it work.
Yeah. All right. So Angular 3, here it is. before there's like a big quote from Mike Hunton that is the Angular 3, the missing Angular 3 becomes Angular 3 with a spelled out 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, which is a joke, actually. It's just an inside joke if you understand the Angular 3 missing thing.
Oh yeah,
But
the missing
yeah,
version of Angular. Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, it is a custom Angular renderer that uses 3GS to render 3D scenes. Um, well, let's the, just look at the quick code. What it allows you to do is that, so like right here, you can see this is like a 3D um, project, right,
Mm-hmm.
with like two 3D cubes spinning, and you are able to use straight Angular template and build out just scenes graph declaratively using the template, and I guess all of the features that come with Angular template that you know and love, like directives, template variable, input binding, output binding, and all of that stuff. And all of these all of these tags are actually custom renderer elements that come with Angular 3.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And of course, you can build out your 3D scenes, and because it is a custom renderer, so everything that works in 3GS will work in Angular 3, and that is the model. That's just the model of Angular 3, and I want to stay true to that.
Oh wow. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think, if I remember correctly, it wasn't always that way, right? You had to do some like custom, maybe more custom stuff before to get everything kind of integrated together, and now it's a little more
Yeah.
streamlined, or what?
Yes. So before it was a more of like a generations approach. Is that for every single 3JS entities? So you can see this one right here: ambient light, spotlight, point light, orbit controls, grid helper. For every single one of these, I would have a component or a directive, like
Mm-hmm.
straight up component or directive to wrap this one, and you would.
Can you zoom in a little?
Yep.
There you go. Okay, yeah.
And you would use them like a normal, normal Angular component or a normal Angular directive. The challenge with that is to keep up with 3GS changes, and also the integrations of all of these elements together. For example, you can see that right here. This is my main scene, main component, and
Mm-hmm.
I have native Angular 3 component. I also have no, sorry, native 3JS elements, and I also have custom Angular component, and I have directive, and this is structural directives. It is an ng template kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing. So getting that to work with a full component wrapper directive approach was a pain in the butt to work with. And it is a little bit easier, still tricky, but it is a little bit easier to do the custom renderer way.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, I know that you've been working on this like custom renderer solution for a while, and I know you, like I said, you've gone through a couple of iterations here, and
yeah,
at least from what I could tell, it's a lot more. I would say it's a lot less maintenance than what it was before, like
yeah,
on your part, having
yes,
just to maintain this library,
correct,
which of course helps you in the long run, and also helps other people who want to
yeah,
upgrade to later versions and stuff. They don't have to like be pinned necessarily to a specific version of your library, right?
correct. So here is a quick like compatibility matrix, because so right now I'm focusing on V2 only, because
Mm-hmm.
V1 was really really old and I didn't really know what's going on in V1 anymore, and it's just me. I did not keep track properly, so that's my part. That's my fault, honestly. But V2, starting from V2, I'm trying to get this out of beta. 3GS version, you can use anything from 148 up to now, so you can just install your 3GS version.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, it in a sense it is not tied to a specific 3GS version. So that's a great part. So if 3GS version change or 3GS version 3GS comes out with a new release, you don't have to update. That's that's it.
I see.
Uh, Angular version, I pinned this as 18 plus, but technically 17 can work. However, 18, there's a change to the signal usage on the template in terms of chain detection. So with 18 and up, when you use signals on the template, the signals and the on-push chain detection is going to work together and automatically update your template. That did not happen in 17.
Oh, right. Is this the new like the hybrid
Yeah,
change detection where
yeah,
even if you use signals like outside the zone, they would still
yes,
cause updates?
correct.
I see.
So I pinned it to 18 so that you have like a seamless experience as possible. You can use Angular 3 V2 with 17, but events might not update the signals as you expect them to. You would have to like inject chain detection ref and call detect changes yourself when like an event happened, like a click or like a pointer over or whatever.
Okay, cool.
And then this relies on ng extension as well. So I have a couple of utilities that I use from ng extension that I did not want to recreate in Angular 3. And Angular 3 is actually like the main reason why I created the ng extension.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, I thought it was the other way around. Like you created, well, Angular 3 was a lot older than NG
Yeah.
extension though. Yeah.
Right. Yes. So as we mentioned, as we talked about that, I went through a lot of iterations for Angular 3. So every time a new iteration comes up, I actually have to recreate all of these utilities. That's when that's
Oh,
when I went
right.
to
Yeah.
Ania and like do you have like utilities that you want to put in like a library that we can share? Like,
And he
hell
was like,
yes.
yes, say
And
less.
then yes, and then that's how ng extension happens.
Cool. We need to, I don't know what Aenea's time zone challenges are, but we need to have him on a stream too, so I can talk about NG extension because I feel like I've told you this already, but NG extension is like becoming its own sort of like mini framework of utilities and things. So,
Like, dude, I did not know. So people actually just use ng extension just for one thing from within ng extension. Like a lot of people do that. Like the RX effect that we basically stole from NGRX. People use that. We would just install that for that, and I think the secondary entry point approach allows people to do that without like thinking much about the bundle size.
I see.
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
all the people downloading it for one thing, but
For one thing,
I think
yeah.
that's a good way that you have the library kind of split up though, as far as each thing being its own separate entry point. That way you can take advantage of at least take more advantage of like the tree shaking and everything. So
Yeah.
I think it works out.
Yeah, and then before we move on from Angular 3, I want to like acknowledge, of course, 3JS would not have been possible without 3JS for sure, and also to React 3 Fiber. I say this multiple times. I have zero creativity, but I'm a good copy paster. I'm a good copy paster, man. So I looked at React 3 Fiber source code a lot and draw inspiration. Sometimes 100% port from React code to Angular code to create Angular 3 today with all of these different packages beside core. So if you see something similar to the React version, if you even use the React version before, don't be surprised because Chau's copies that. And I'm not ashamed to say that I copy things, honestly.
So is the like the some of the I've seen you do some of the demos and things before. Were those like ports over from
Yes.
React 3 Fiber examples too?
Yep. Port over and just changed to use Angular 3 or Angular directives and stuff like that. Or like, oh, they have a custom hooks over here in the React example. Move over and change to a directive. Right. So in the process, I learned kind of like both framework
Ah, I see.
in a sense. Yeah.
So, well, I'm sure you've answered this question before, but you say you're not a well. I don't know if not a creative person is the right word, but you say you don't normally create these types of 3D model or
No.
you haven't done a lot of this stuff before. So what? Why jump into the fray and create a whole library that's rendering using Angular to render these things like React 3 Fiber.
Well, you the one to ask. You the one to ask. You know?
Oh, is it my favorite term for creating just about
Yes.
anything?
SDD, man.
Spite driven development. I love it.
Yes. No, I mean, well, it first came out of spite for sure. Because
Hmm.
I've had people come up to me and ask, like, does Angular have something like Angular 3 or like React 3 Fiber? Right? Because they want something like that for their project.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I don't think so. So then they move on to use React. Same thing happened for
Yep.
React Native, React Native kind of situation here. And you keep hearing people asking the Angular team, when are you going to make an Angular Native like React Native? Well, it's not going to happen,
No.
right? So I'm like, well, and so that's the first reason and the main reason. The second reason is that Paul, React 3 Fiber original creator,
Hmm.
I cannot remember his last name, or I don't want to butcher his last name, but his Twitter handle is like 0xca blah blah blah, some hex code. Every time he posts he updates his Twitter with like a 3D post, a 3D project, a 3D example.
Hmm.
I got blown away.
Oh, I see.
I got blown away, and
So he
it
trapped
is
you with the demos to.
yes, and it is like, and I know that he 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 does this because React allows him to create the React 3
Yeah.
Fiber, right? So he always tend to praise the React like mental model of composable and things that allows him and allows the entire React 3 Fiber ecosystem to build the things that they build.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I mean, Angular can do that too.
Yeah, with some, I would say with some slight modifications. You did have to build an entire custom renderer on top of this to make some of it happen anyway. But
I
yeah.
mean, React 3 Fiber is a custom renderer as well. So
Oh, okay.
somebody, I mean, not custom renderer. React used like a reconciler.
Yeah.
So uh, yeah,
So there are some similarities there in
it
that case
is
too. Yeah.
it is technically the same thing, but uh, nobody does this for Angular. And then so I feel like this is a void, and
Hmm.
part of me did not like the fact that like not did not like the narrative. And I know that Paul did not mean this narrative. I just draw this narrative out of my personal feeling that React is the only thing that can do this.
Oh, I see.
So I did not kind of like that narrative, and I want to first prove myself wrong, and I want to prove to people that Angular can do that too. So that's why I went on this journey, and along the way I kind of like feel um, a little bit passionate about 3GS itself and more of like the creative coding ecosystem. I
Hmm.
know very little about it. I'm learning it in my old time right now. I'm learning about 3GS. I'm buying courses to learn about 3GS more, and ultimately just to maybe go back to contribute back to Angular 3 more in a more
Okay.
like a meaningful way than just copy and paste.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah,
You have to share me some links. Maybe we'll drop some of those in the notes or something for people to check out afterwards, in case other people are interested in it too.
yep.
But cool. We did have a couple of questions. I think they already got answered though about working with zoneless in hybrid mode.
Let me go
Yeah,
back. Yeah,
I think you mentioned that one.
let me
I'll
remove from
pop them up
stage
on
for
the
this one.
screen.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you showed work with Zone.js in hybrid mode, and then experimental. Other question was about experimental
yes,
zoneless change detection.
absolutely.
But yeah, I think you already said they fully embrace signals, and that all that should just work. Should just work. So yeah, so we can get into the other part of this because, like I said, you built Angular 3. You wanted you built all the tech, which is like half the half one half of it, but then you have to build like the documentation side of things. And so I'm assuming that you looked around at some other options as far as building the documentation goes, but you ended up landing on Starlight, which is I would say relatively new. It is funny that I was looking at the Starlight documentation, and Starlight itself, Astro is on version 4, but Starlight isn't technically a 1.0, at least from what I could see. But that doesn't stop people from using it because I guess they feel Astro has a very solid foundation to build upon there. So,
Hmm.
yeah, what were some of the reasons that you kind of went with Starlight to try to build this dock site with?
So before I built the original Angular 3 documentation with Dockersaurus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's straight up like Markdown and all of this. And one missing piece, and I think it is missing for a lot of Angular library authors or embedded Angular component.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have a component, you have a beautiful component that you want to showcase. All of a sudden now you have to embed like stack bliss to your
Yeah.
documentation just to show that what you're writing, how to use this component, and you link it to like a stack list. And I mean, it's working for you, but like the maintenance of it that people don't realize is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And now you have to keep track or sync your documentation with all of the stack list external
Yeah.
projects as well.
Yeah,
And
I've been down that path before too. Because when we worked on the Angular docs, that anytime you make a change, you got to like regenerate all the code examples and everything. Which Stack Bliss works great for like popping up. You know, it works great for popping up like standalone projects and things.
yeah,
But for documentation, like you said, it's a little
hmm,
more extra effort there.
yes. Now there's like a new thing from Stackless called Tutorial Kit. um I think it's gonna help in a way, but then you still have that like maintenance overhead of updating your docs as well as updating your like tutorial from Stackless. That's at least that's what I'm feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
I'll drop a link to the tutorial kit in the
yeah.
chat here for people to check that out, which is relatively new,
Hmm.
but from the Stack Blitz team also.
Yeah. So and then I mean, initially it's fine for me, but then I get to a tutorial or more like comprehensive tutorial for Angular 3, and it
Mm-hmm.
requires different branches. Man, that's now that becomes a little bit way too hard to maintain. And imagine if you have a change in one of the like early branches. Now all
Mm-hmm.
of the branches have to be updated. That's just like painful.
Yeah, and just like managing, like you said, like differences between code versions and all that stuff. Like you have to maintain that stuff on top of like the library itself.
Yes,
So at
correct.
least wanting to. And the other thing I was going to say was uh, Angular 3 is a very like visual. You know, like a lot of stuff we build in Angular is just like not component libraries, but like service libraries or like I said, utility functions, things like that.
Hmm.
That don't you can like look at code snippets and be fine for those. But Angular 3 is very visual. You need to it it piques people's interest when you can actually see what it's doing before you
Correct.
start trying to use it. So
That's right. That's right. And and that's just on the maintenance code side of things. You have to make sure that the release version that your docs is writing about match with the match with the version of the stack list is using.
hmm
Right. So yeah, that's just like painful. And at the time, there really no other options um, to do that unless you build your own Angular documentation framework.
yeah, I've
Uh,
seen a few
yeah,
things. There have been some other like
the one what like
things
ng
out
doc or
there.
something.
Yeah, NG Doc. There was Compo Doc or something like that, and there was NG Doc, which it was like you had to create your own kind of documentation syntax, sort of. That it was like a custom syntax that you had to use, and I guess they kind of parsed it all out, and like it was using still using modules and things like that,
Yeah,
which it worked, but I don't think it got that much traction just because like standalone components were coming and it
yeah,
wasn't as
ng
easy to use
doc.
with
This
that.
one I sent it in private chat, so you can
Okay.
send it to the comments. So that one, I did take a look at that one.
Yeah, I will drop that in the chat also. so people can check that out. Because, like I said, there have been efforts along the way. I'll bring up the screen share here. Also, there have been efforts along the way to kind of
Mhm.
Angular docs embed Angular embed Angular components into some documentation to be more interactive as opposed to uh, just like code snippets and things. So,
Yep.
did you want me to bring your screen back up here,
Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, cool. Yeah, ngdoc was another one of these things that came along. Like I said, it had like a custom syntax you had to use from what I could see on it before, as far as how you embedded things into your documentation, which I thought it was like engineering wise, I thought it was definitely pretty interesting of what they were able to do there.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's a custom thing. It's like specific. It's kind of specific to Angular, and you had to create this like specific language that they came up with to be able to do this, to bring it in there. So well, like custom builders and that whole thing.
Hmm.
Just more like kind of friction involved there. So I
Yep.
can see why people would use it, and then I can see why people maybe wouldn't use it, uh, because it was just like not a maybe not an industry standard thing. But like you said, you kind of Starlight, um, landed on using Starlight as like a foundation, which is built by the Astro team.
Yep.
So shout out to them for sure. But what were some of the other reasons, or how did you? What were some of the other reasons you kind of
Hmm.
pick Starlight and
Yeah.
kind of pick some of those things? Had you built anything with it before or no?
Yes, my personal blog
Okay.
is with actually my personal blog was with Astro. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
just uh, just Astro. So this one. However, I do use the Starlight plugin. So um, with just Astro and like they're out of the box. The main thing for me is that when I write blog posts, but I tend to express the ideas through code snippets.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, if you change here, and then I have like a comment in the code snippets inside of the blog post, saying why, or we do this here because blah blah blah. Instead of like writing it out, it's just like I think my flow is like I write a code here and then I add a comment here to show the reader what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And traditional, I say traditional, but I didn't really mean traditional, but like traditional code highlighting inside of like documentation or blog framework have been limiting,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that you don't have a lot of way to annotate things that's going on inside of the code snippets itself. Or one other thing is that Angular snippets, especially in the kind of in the sense that you have like inline template. So you have inline HTML inside of like a TypeScript file. So code highlighting, traditional code highlighting, does not know how to highlight the HTML part inside of your TypeScript component.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to go with like a separate HTML and then separate TypeScript file, that is fine as well. But now you have to have a way to display them in like tab so that people can easily see that they are related. And now you have to maintain two different code blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for implementing like a tabs thing, and it's also hard to maintain that blog post. So I want to be able to use inline template while still having good highlighting and good code highlighting
Yeah.
capabilities to support my writing style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Starlight comes into to play. And Starlight, they have great default for documentation. I think if you're building a documentation site, you should give Starlight a try. Super lightweight and
Mm-hmm.
same default out of the box. You literally just like do this, and you can write your docs right away. Honestly, and
Yeah, I was definitely impressed by the Starlight documentation and how easily you could. They even have like pre-built templates and everything, because I think that's probably the hardest part of writing docs sometimes is
mhm.
trying to get into the like you get an app up there or something, trying to get into the flow of writing documentation, and
Yeah,
then if you're trying to maintain maintain the documentation infrastructure and the docs at the same time, it is a little friction there. But uh, Astro itself is just like great on its own, just because
Yeah,
it's so fast and everything. But
right.
then if they can, like I said, they made this, they kind of spun this off as a separate thing
Hmm.
that you could build stuff on top of.
Yeah. So when I first migrated my block to Astro, and I looked at my package JSON for the Astro project for my Astro block, I'm impressed. I've never had a project with like what 4 here, and then what 13 to 25, like 12, so 16, right?
Yeah.
Dependencies. I don't care how much, like how many transitive dependencies they have, but look at my package JSON. I can
Hmm.
parse it like really easily, and I'm impressed. So I can just keep coming back to Astro for things like documentation or blog post. I just keep like recommend people. You want to build a blog, go Astro because you're gonna love yourself because of this. Like the build time was super quick as well, thanks to these the less packages approach. All right, so then a Starlight comes out, and like, oh crap, let's use Starlight. Um, and look, so beside the ease of getting started, their authoring content in Markdown
Hmm.
is exceptionally good by default as well, because they use expressive expressive code. And expressive code is like a different, I don't know how do you say that, library
Yeah.
to annotate or to enhance the code block.
Okay, so it's I guess it's similar to like Prism and
Yeah.
Shiki and the other one, syntax highlighters, but it's just
Yes,
like a different flavor or style of it.
a different flavor, and it comes with more built-in capabilities that I want.
Okay.
You can build everything that expressive code has with Shiki
Hmm.
plugins and transformers and whatnot, but expressive code just comes with a lot of things built in. And I'm gonna let me show you the documentation real quick here. Uh, so, for example, something really simple like line numbers.
Hmm.
You will like surprise yourself of how complicated just to get line numbers inside of your Markdown without all of these plugins, because you have to think about like all of the CSS that you have to add, all of these different classes that you have to add to get the line numbers working correctly, and all of the margin padding, all of that stuff that you have to think about, that you thought that you didn't have to, but you have to if you if you build like a line numbers thing for your Markdown uh, on your own. But then expressive code comes with it, and there's like, of course, syntax highlighting because this uses Shiki. So
Oh,
Shiki
okay.
Shiki JS has the Angular TS and Angular HTML language to allow us to write Shiki.style to allow us to write Angular tab component in HTML, and everything is highlighted correctly. So for example, this one, if I write component, right, and I write template, things in here get highlighted correctly. You can see that div is highlighted.
Hmm.
Control flow is highlighted correctly. So this is what I want for my Markdown journey,
Hmm.
right? So now you have syntax highlighting, right? And then you have text and line markers. This is super cool. So you can, um, where is it? Right here. So you can annotate each line with different label, different colors.
Okay.
And you can say that what this line does, what this line does, what this line does, and everything comes out of the box with expressive code, and in turns with Starlight, because Starlight uses expressive code.
But expressive code is its own project, right? It's not.
Its own project,
Okay.
yes. So Starlight just uses expressive code on top of it, right here.
Nice.
Yep. And you can customize expressive code as well. Um, yep. I guess
Okay.
they kind of have. So Starlight being a modern project, they kind of have all of your most of your modern use cases nailed down.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use Tailwind, so yes, pull in Tailwind. Here is a kind of like a Tailwind plugin from Starlight to reset the styles of Tailwind. You know, like how Tailwind remove all of the default styles.
Mm-hmm.
Starlight as the back with a custom plugin that they have, and then you can customize on top of them.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't. I don't think I had come across expressive code until you mentioned it. Mentioned it to me, and I didn't know it was built on top of Shiki either, or that it not necessarily built on top of it, but that it
Yeah,
integrates
it
along with it.
yep.
So.
hmm So and that brings me to Angular 3 documentation. So I know that I want to use that for Angular 3. And during this time, I was still working on Angular 3 V2. And Brandon, you come out with the Analog.js and Astro
Mm-hmm.
Angular plugin, and I'm like,
That was
yeah.
a spite driven project also because Astro out of the box has support for a bunch of different UI libraries
hmm
such as React and Svelte and Vue and others, or even Solid. I think it's pretty popular.
Yeah,
But of course, as things tend to happen, Angular gets left out of the mix as far as first party supported like UI library. So
hmm
that was probably one of the first things that came out of the plugin for Vite. That was the Astro integration. Yeah.
yeah. So yes, so now I have Astro Starlight, which uses Astro. So naturally, I can use the Astro integration from Analog.js to have my embedded Angular component,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I did for this project. So if you go through the documentation, you will see embedded Angular component running right here in the documentation. And this is written with Markdown, and this is just an Angular component straight out
Mm-hmm.
for, and it's made available by the Astro integration from Analog.js. And of course, I want to see here. Hey, this is what you change. This is the step, and
Mm-hmm.
this is what you see. And you can interact with just like any other component, any other demo, and you can do even more with it, like this one. So here is how I explain the physics integration working. I have the code here, I have all of this, and I have an example right here. And then you can interact with this example. You can also see the code from this for this example
Mm-hmm.
by just building a quick custom plugin, custom Vite plugin. And Brandon helped me with this plugin. And then you can have a preview and then the code. And of course, you can have like a copy, everything that you want to have. And just Astro brings like this kind of like platform for your documentation block thing.
Yeah.
Starlight adds more flavor to your documentation thing. And then Analog.js just enable everything for Angular developers. And I love
Yeah.
it.
I'm definitely considering this because at one point I was on the like build analog with analog, or I guess I'm
Mm-hmm.
still on that train, like build analog with analog documentation type thing. Um, but with all the like with everything you get out of Starlight out of the box, it definitely seems like a good solution if you want to spin up something quick for like an Angular library or even Analog JS, which is built up of a few things. But
Oh, yeah, well,
it just depends on where you want to focus that effort. I know that there are a few examples of documentation built with analog already, like Spartan and the new Angular primitives documentation is built with analog also. And
yeah,
I think those are pretty solid examples too. Uh, but Starlight does give you like a pack. It's like they're focusing on one thing, so like I can focus on the rest of the things.
yeah.
And I think being able
Actually,
to drop those
yeah.
components in there helps out a
Oh,
lot.
actually, let me. Can I share it again?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna share the code of that project. Let me bump the font size. Uh, um,
Young Nicholas said Shiki should support the new let syntax as they use TextMate files that are using Angular VS Code extension. It can
Yes, but
automatically
JetBrains
change them.
doesn't. JetBrains doesn't. Yarn, Nicholas. JetBrains doesn't.
That had no salt in it at all. I couldn't
No,
tell
no,
any of
not at all.
the
No, not at
sarcasm
all.
there.
No, less sodium.
Child wants less sodium, more features.
Yes, more barbecue sauce from Kansas City. No, I'm just kidding. I give Yarn Nicholas like enough hard time already.
Hmm.
Ever since he added me to the JetBrains shared Slack channel, I think
Oh,
I know he regretted that decision.
it's like who let this person in here? Oh wait, it was me.
Anyway, so here is the Angular 3 monorepo, and of course it is driven by NX. It's the only monorepo tool I know how to use, so it is what it is. Every single thing from every single libraries in the Angular 3 ecosystem is in here in the libraries. But then in apps, you can see that there's Astro docs, and this is created by using the create Astro CLI with the Starlight template.
So, are you using uh, um, like a hybrid setup here? Are you
Yes,
using like a PMP and workspaces with NX or anything special there?
both. For let's go through the libraries. So you can see it right here. I have apps lib, so you immediately think of the integrated approach with NX. And of course, it is integrated. So you have look into project JSON. You have all of these like target
Mm-hmm.
from the NX plugin themselves. So these, of course, know of the TS config. So all the path alias, path resolve working out of the box for you. And this is a great way to build libraries, like an ecosystem libraries where, let's say, Canon relies on core,
Mm-hmm.
Soba relies on core, post processing relies on core, and things like that. And you don't have to, when you change one thing, you change everything. You can update everything at once, and that's the approach that I use for Angular 3 as well. So version sync. So when I update one package and I publish a new version, every packages inside of the ecosystem will get new version, regardless if they have changed or not. Just like Angular, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Analog,
So
we do the same thing.
yeah.
We make a change and everything lines up on the same
Yep.
version. It's just
Yep.
I don't know. For some reason, it works out better that way because people it's just more predictable for people to update and
One hundred
that
percent.
sort of thing.
Yeah, so I recently I've been in a couple of other Discord for other 3JS integrations as well, and namely one for Vue, which is Trash.js.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not like throwing shade at Trash.js or anything, but Trash.js they also have like their ecosystem, so they have like Trash Core, Trash CNTOS, and all of those like different um, facets of a 3JS integration look like.
Mm-hmm.
And they do not have version sync.
Okay.
And recently, they just released version 4, and one of their ecosystem package, like an auxiliary package, just have like a new release candidate version for the version 4. And over the past week or so, I observed that most questions were like people just miss a live version.
Mm-hmm.
So like, oh, I'm using the core version 4, but then they use like version 3 of CNTOS. But then most of the questions was like, um, oh, you update to like V4 RC for CNTOS,
Yeah.
and the problems got solved. And I think if they did version sync, that would have been solved.
Man, those peer dependency peer dependencies are going to be the death of all of us.
Yeah,
Uh, just from all these different versions and things and having to
yeah,
keep those in sync.
yes. All right, so that's the libraries, and here is one of the app, and this one is using the integrated approach as well. So this one is generated using the NX Angular plugin. So
Mm-hmm.
this is just an Angular application. This is I call it kitchen sink. It is what it is. It's basically a sink for every single thing that I want to test out. It is also act as my demo site. So if I go to demo.angular3.org, and this is the kitchen sink app.
I see.
Uh,
Oh, we got the strutting man person
yeah,
in here again.
yeah. I should change the default every once in a while. But yeah, this is all the demo that I built with that kitchen sink app. So in development, as I work on this demo and I see something wrong, I can just go back to the libraries and change and it just update. So that when I work on the demos, I know that it works with the current implementation of the libraries.
Yeah.
And this is the new one. I just want to show this off so that this doesn't work. There we go.
Oh, okay. We got some charts in here now.
So this is a chart.js running rendering alongside with a cube, and it's like the position and everything like transform alongside with the cube.
Mm-hmm. Hey, it's
So
pretty cool.
yeah, and then you
I mean,
have
it
like
is a chart, but
yeah, it is a chart like an HTML chart running
Mm-hmm.
inside of a 3D environment. So this is just like a new demo that
Oh, wow.
you can yeah.
Yeah, I was watching the last video from Josh Maroney about he was throwing out a lot of words. He was saying 2D chart and 3D scenes, and I was like, okay, I'm kind of following. We'll see. We'll see how the video goes. He said we'll have to see if he publishes another
Yeah.
one. But yeah, I was down in the weeds for a second.
Yes. So of course, so this is that kitchen sink app that's got deployed alongside with everything else. But here we're gonna talk about the docs. So this docs were generated by the great Astro CLI. So again, this is not integrated, but it is a package-based approach. So you can have hybrid. You can have integrated for some part of the monorepo. You can have package-based for some part of the repo. And what you
Mm-hmm.
need to do is to add. So this depends on the package manager. But I'm using pnpm. So what I need to do is to say I have a pnpm workspace.yaml file and say packages, and I point to apps Astro docs. This allows NX to recognize this Astro docs as an NX project, and now can use NX to run these scripts. So for example, if I go back here, I run pnx nx dev docs. Now this will run
Mm-hmm.
Astro dev, and I
So
have my site up and
so
running
yeah, I did have a
locally.
question on that. Was there, like you said, you can have the integrated approach or the like the I guess traditional like monorepo single version package everywhere in the root package JSON. Was there a particular reason that you went with like the hybrid approach here and just like have your separate dependencies, or is
Right.
it just easier to manage, or what?
I just didn't want to build an Astro plugin. That's it's just simple as that.
Hey, that works.
I
That's an
mean,
answer too.
and the thing is, just Astro CLI works great out of the box. And
Mm-hmm.
now, if you think about it, even though, so like initially with the package-based approach, where you like generate like an app inside of your monorepo, and with the pnpm workspace, you like the workspace setup, everything working with NX.
Mm-hmm.
And then dependencies. So Brandon, when we add the analog.js Astro Angular integration,
Mm-hmm.
it adds a bunch of like Angular dependencies, right? You
Yep.
could technically
I was just about to ask about
yeah,
that.
you could technically take them out and use the root version.
Okay.
So this is my docs dependencies. And one thing that I have that I'm gonna have Brandon help me out is to get rid of this, because right now, because this Astro docs is kind of like an isolated island instead
Yeah.
of my monorepo, so it doesn't really know about the libraries.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to install the libraries separately, and I install using npm. So the workflow is that I update things, I work on things, then I publish, and then I update this version, and then I push. So
Okay.
it's kind of clunky in that way, but it is what it is that I'm living with right now. So this is the dependencies for the documentation site. Um, this is the config. So this is the like a custom plugin that include the source code of the file of the demo alongside with running the actual demo. So this allows me to bring
Mm-hmm.
to grab the file content to show them in like a code snippet right next to the preview of the demo. And then you just create this one with a pre and post, and just throw it in there for your Vite config, and it works.
Yeah, this one was this one was definitely testing my Veet foo to see if
Exactly.
we could actually do it because I knew the pieces were there to be able to use. Well, go to show like what the Astro template looks like as far as
Yep.
the
So
where you're using it.
yeah,
And then we can talk about the plugin a little bit.
correct. So let's just go through the Astro config first.
Yeah.
So of course, Astro uses Vite. So now you have the integrations, which is analog.js Angular. So this enables that bridge between Astro and Angular. Next, you have the Starlight plugin. So this is all the configuration for your documentation site in terms of sitemap, in terms of SEO, all of that. And this is the sidebar. So there's configured the sidebar of the documentation. So see, this is something that I don't have to build, which is
Yeah.
great. So here, so this is the sidebar. So all of this is from that configuration, and you can they have like um, auto docs as well, like automatically recognize the sidebar from the content folder. But I want like specific order, so I do it this way. I think
Oh,
you can
okay.
like
See.
you can put like an order for the sidebar inside the front matter as well. But this
Oh, okay.
is
So it gives you
yeah,
some conventions out of the box,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
if you want to give them a little more structure, you can.
yeah. I like this way more.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's sidebar, and then of course there like a tailwind integrations as well. So this is the Astro, and then this one is the EC, which is expressive code config. So you have like file, a different file for expressive code, and this is all configuration related to expressive code, tailwind, right? And then you have the content folder. So content folder is where the content for your site lives, and you can see Canon core post processing server index.amdx. This is where you write the content for your documentation, and it comes with like an Astro content. So this is the content collection thing from Astro. So basically, this allows you to have type or strongly typed front matter. So here, like title, description, slug. I think title and description are required for the doc schema. So if I add like a new page and I forgot some of these front matter, is gonna fail build.
Okay.
Then I have to put in these require schema. All right. Let's look at the component. So it was the how it works for Canon. So we go here, scroll down to the end, and this is that part that render the preview and the code. So I have tabs, and tab item are components, like built-in component from Starlight. Excuse me. So I can just import them from Starlight, drop them in here, and use them in MDX. And here is the code. Code is also a built-in component from Starlight. And here is the Canon sample. And this one is the Angular component, and got brought here by analog.js. And so let's look at the import. So the import is a similar, like a simple TypeScript import, but with this query include content. So with this query, the plugin, this plugin right here, look for that include content query and then activate the logic to read the file from that content. And then in the pre, we read the file in the pre, store that in like a map, and then in the post, we grab that content, and then we return the original code alongside with a new export content with that file content as string. And of course, we need to add like a quick type
Yeah.
for the include content. So if you have include content, you have the default for the component, and you have a const content for your string, and that's how this works.
Yeah, I was like I said, putting that part together. I thought that was probably the most fun part. I think that we had like trying to get this working was to so that you could have, like you said, a single kind of code base
Yeah.
with the working example and the code snippet right next to it.
Yeah. So right here is the actual component writing in TypeScript file. And this import, like export a Canon sample default component.
Mm-hmm.
There's MDX file, just import that and use just like any other component. And this is the power of analog.js, yeah, Astro integration. And with Vite, now you can also have the content of that file,
Mm-hmm.
right there. You already write it once. Why do you have to write it twice? So
Yeah, well, you had to copy paste it in
yeah,
there.
why you
Yeah.
have to copy and paste. Brandon had the audacity to tell me to copy and paste.
Hey, you were trying to come up with something, some solution for when we had the conversation. It was you were trying to come up with a solution for like right then, and I was like, hey, it would be less effort if you just copy paste it. And then you were like, well, I got like 40 components, and I was like, well, okay, that might not be a good idea then if it's just gonna be start out with 40 and kind of grow from there. So that's
Wait,
a
hold on. Jan Nicholas, we are even paying for you as a user. I just renew my license. What are you talking about?
for the people who aren't watching the thing, we'll put it up there on the chat. But he's saying we're paying the bill for your Slack access, and then you're throwing shade on us out here in the streets. So he just want to make things clear there. So. But there was another good question here. Do you recommend leaning more towards package based, given the Project Crystal? I guess is becoming more standard within NX.
It really depends. It really depends on um, the nature of the monorepo,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, if you are very used to the way that NX resolve local uh, libraries using path aliases,
Mm-hmm.
project based or package based is going to have a hard time trying to 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 solve that
Oh
issue for
yeah,
you,
yeah.
because like you have to now use like plugin to do like tsconfig path alias whatever plugin v that just that gives me more headache than it solves. So
Yeah.
I would recommend, it really depends on the nature of the projects.
Yeah, we've done something similar in the analog monorepo also, which is also using NX. This stream isn't sponsored by NX, but I guess it kind of is. Uh, but for the packages, we are doing like a kind of like a build based version where when you make a change, you build all the packages, and we can like consume everything from node modules, and that kind of gets around, like to say, the issue that you have with having to
Mhm.
publish everything every time you make a change. So you can still build everything locally and still get some of those same benefits, even if the developer experience of having to build after making changes is a little bit different. So,
Now, so let me get back to addition addict question.
mm-hmm.
Personally, I think Project Crystal makes integrated approach more appealing
Mm.
than rather than trying to make the integrated approach obsolete. You know what I mean? Because so before with the integrated approach, one of the gripe that people have is that a configuration is
Yeah.
just a lot of configuration to set up your target, set up your project JSON,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. So Project Crystal kind of eliminates or makes that configuration based approach a little bit easier. So in my opinion, it makes integrated approach more appealing. Now, for package based approach, you're gonna have to use your own like PNPM, NPM, Yarn
Yeah.
workspaces knowledge to kind of like tie all the libraries together. So and if you are familiar with that, or if you're comfortable with that, package based is probably powerful
Mm-hmm.
enough.
Cool. Nice. So yeah, we kind of talked about like getting the docs together. You got V2 coming up here soon.
Yeah.
We talked about of course, anybody who wants to go look at the source, how you can then embed the Angular components directly in your source, especially if you have like if you want to have more interactive documentation. I definitely think that's a win for Angular libraries and things to be able to put that in there.
Yeah.
and get to showing the custom
Oh,
plugin
yes,
apart.
yes. I forgot to show something. Can you bring that back again?
Yeah, sure.
Right. See. Right. Uh, so this code right here is looks a little bit messy, but you have Astro component running alongside with um, Angular component.
Mm-hmm.
This so nothing really stops you from making a custom Astro component with this kind of like template, and you have a reusable tabs component with
All right.
a preview and then the code content, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to point out here is that Angular component with the Astro analog integration kind of like opens the door for like components from different framework to like interweave together with Angular component. Now, and Brandon mentioned that Astro supports like Solid, React, Preact,
Mm-hmm.
Vue, you name it, and then you can have everything like in the same code base with Angular alongside with it. And this is what got me the most when I look at documentation side for libraries with like framework agnostic. The Angular
Mm-hmm.
tab always missing, the Angular logo always missing.
Mm-hmm.
So now if you build some like TypeScript library that is framework agnostic, you can have the Angular logo and the Angular tab with an
Mm-hmm.
actual Angular component running. So
Yeah,
just saying.
I like it. Hey, if
Yeah.
everybody just switch to Vite now, we can make that happen. But Vite definitely makes it a lot easier. Like I said, I was ecstatic when the Astro team moved off of Snowpack and moved on to Vite because it, like you said, opened up the door for the Astro Angular integration there too. So I think it can only get better. Like it's more of the Angular specific stuff we kind of strip off. The better I think the integrations will be with these other ecosystems. But we had to start somewhere.
Yep.
So yeah. So I'm assuming after I'm gonna say this. You're gonna get Angular 3 V2 out the door, and then you're gonna take a break,
Yeah,
and then you're
Mike.
gonna and
So
then you
my
think about the next thing that you're gonna do with Angular 3 because there's still like tons of examples and things out there
I
that
want to build a game with it.
are gonna build a game. Okay.
I want to build a game with like something like a tower defense game. Uh,
Hmm.
that'd be great. Alvaro from Dress Jazz
Mm-hmm.
introduced me to a model package that's like characters based, of like RPG character based models.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking of like building using those models and like creating like a tower defense game. That'd be great. But I need to learn like how 3GS work and how all
This
of this works,
sounds
right?
like an incredibly large rabbit hole that you're about to go in.
I know,
Hey,
I know,
but
I love
hey,
digging. I guess.
I'm here to see it. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully
Yeah, yeah,
you'll stream some of that too.
yep.
Drop your YouTube in the private chat here. Drop it in the channel here because I know
Shit,
some
what is my
people
YouTube?
have.
Uh,
It's not the same as all your other ones. Your handle on
Actually,
it.
it's just this, so it's easy to remember now. So
Okay.
I claim that.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
So we
and I
drop.
stream on Twitch as well. So
Yes, Chow streams on Twitch and YouTube.
no schedule,
Uh,
okay?
no
No schedule
schedule.
at all. I do
No
it when I feel
schedule, no
like it.
pressure. He just streams whenever he wants,
Yep.
which is probably the way to go, honestly. Instead of being like me trying to stream at a certain time on a certain day, just be like, I feel like streaming today. Let's do it,
Yes.
and then people can just kind of hop in and do like I do and drop memes in the
I
chat
mean,
and stuff. So
yeah. The downside of that is that people don't know when you're
yeah.
on. So usually, sometimes it's just you.
Hey, that's
Sometimes it's
fine.
just you.
That's
Yes.
fine too, because sometimes you want to stream, but you actually want to do some thinking too, and like those things for some reason, conflict sometimes. Like when people are in the chat and trying to pay attention to them and actually work on stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. That's probably a good place to wrap up here. Was there anything else you wanted to plug before we wrap up?
Mm, well, I gotta plug work. So Monorepo War is coming.
There you go.
It's
Monorepo World.
monorepo.war. That's the
Okay, cool.
website.
We'll drop a link to the chat in there too. Monorepo.world.
So
A
if you are,
fantastic
yeah,
name, by the way, for the
yeah.
for the conference.
So, yeah, so if you are in the area, or if you are, I guess, coming and you want to talk about Angular 3, NX, analog, Astro, I
There you
guess,
go. Hey, I'm still
then
trying to get analog or a V-test dropped into NX for Angular apps. So we got to make that happen too.
yeah,
Well, cool. I see we got Angular TinyConf, a D in
a
the
D.
chat here. Much appreciated. And Nia, who saw you there also. Got to get you on the stream too. But yeah, that's a good place to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks to everyone for coming through. If you made it this far in the video, go ahead and like the video and subscribe and do all the YouTube things that we do so other people can see and build Angular documentation sites and do that sort of thing. So, Chau, always a pleasure. With that, we will see everyone in the next one.